Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the tangle Blixty from CZT Lynn Mead. And Blixty is short for Bloomin Rixty. Rixty is one of my favorite tangles. And when I saw this, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have got to do this. How fun. All right. So it starts off with two curved lines, however you want them. Let's see. We'll start it kind of in the middle. So, kind of curved. They can be as, long or as short as you want. The next step is this is going to be kind of sort of like poke root if you have done poke root before. Also kind of sort of like laced if you've done that tangle before. We're essentially going to draw an orb around the end of this. And so, let me get this here. Oh, let me make sure that y'all can see. Sure. Let's do it this way. Also, I always like to make sure that I'm doing this so that way my hand is comfortable. All right, so now, if you can get it so it meets up there with the top of your, we'll call it a stem, great. If not, of course, you can just make it go long, just like that. Because the next step is we're going to fill in both sides. Now, actually, this is probably more like laced than it is poke root. The drawing an orb around the stem and having it kind of look continuous. That's the halibut technique. It made me think of that when I first saw it, but really it's more like laced, because laced is more of an oval around, but we're doing the similar steps here where we're filling in both sides. All right. And so what's nice about the filling in of both sides is, like I said, if you've come short here, no worries, you can fill it in. If something doesn't look quite right in your orb, you can course correct right there. All right, next step is we're going to make a larger orb around it. So starting at the same place and coming around like that, or close. Then, and I'm going to start, this is just because it's just, I don't know, just because I like to do this. I'm going to continue like this stem, but what we want to do is we're going to put some curved lines around in this space that we've created between the filled in orb and the orb we just did. And so you can, space them however you want, like so. Then we're going to add some rounding. In rounding is a technique where we're rounding off the corner. So on this far edge, and I'm just going to start right here. This is one of those things where I have to just be careful. So what I want to do is just kind of, you can barely see that there's a little hole there, but we're just rounding off that corner. Sometimes I find it easier to just make it be a straight line, although it's not really rounding if it's a straight line. We're still, like I said, sometimes I find it a little bit challenging, and especially when I'm trying to work small. We're just adding some weight to that end, and then you can play with it too. It's the same kind of course correction, as filling in. So we can always go back. So like this is maybe, okay, that's a little bit weird. The trick I have, and there is a fix for it. So let me finish going around these, and then I'll tell you about that. I want to have it where it's merging or coming out from the line that's already there, and then going into, the line that we just drew, where I don't see little bumps from where I placed my pen. That's just me. And it's something that I'm continually working on with this one. If you've done the tangle floors, that's really where we use the rounding. is in floors. But see, and that looks neat. But you can always come back and touch it up a little bit. So like here, oh, maybe I want that to dip down just a little bit more. But you can always go back and play. That's the course correction. Now, if it ends up a little bit bumpy around the outside, because this one, gosh, I didn't do too bad of a job here. But you can always trace back over that edge. It'll thicken it a tad, but it's okay. But if it gets rid of those bumps and makes you happy, that's worth it. And that's essentially it, except that we can then have it grow and add more, just like we would if we were doing the Tangle Rixty. And how that works, if you've never done that tangle, and I do believe I have a video of that. If I will look for it and put a link for it in the description section, along with, of course, the step outs for it. So Rixty, it doesn't have it comes out like a triangle here, so it's easier to see this stem. And I think that's probably why, because I was looking at Lynn's her samples here, and it looks like well, no, I guess in some cases maybe she didn't. But anyway, so I continued it so that it also helps me with a guideline. But if you imagine this coming through, and then I'm going to draw a stem here. I'm drawing one. I'm having this one split off. You can have it be a single stem that continues, but I always like doing Rixty this way, so I'm going to do this way. So took the line out here, so just curve line. I usually flip the tile, curve line here, and then aura the inside, and then we follow the same thing. And these also, they don't have this. I did kind of rather big. They don't have to be that big. You can have fun with making them different sizes. And even like that part. You know what? I need to position this tile differently, because this side is getting is not being happy. The pen went a little bit weird there. And actually I'm just thinking now. Now if I went to my 005, so I'm using the Micron 01. If I went to my 005, maybe that would make it a little bit easier for me on this rounding. But it's also one of those things where don't worry about it yet. Let's just, do it. Look at it at the end. See if we need to adjust anything. It's all okay. Oops, I didn't fill this one in yet. And, just how fun is this? And these are what I call, well, it does look plant-like, and it would fit into, what one would call organic. Let me make this go upside down. Let's see if I can do this bigger orb a little bit better. Yeah, that helps. Kind of my definition of organic is like this, where they can just grow off of themselves, and it doesn't matter, where you start. So this can continue all the way around. You can have a lot of fun with it, versus thinking of organic as just coming from nature. I have a nature category that I kind of put those things that look like leaves. Like I said, just look like they have come from nature. And then a separate category from that, even, of flowery tangles, because sometimes you're just in the mood for flowers, and and you want to be able to look. And that's the aim of my website, is to put things into categories like that, although I have to say I have a lot of work I need to do on that. So this one can be fun, because you can just kind of bring it down and around. You can, like I said, have it grow however you want. It doesn't always have to split off like this. Yeah, it's just as much fun as you want to have with it. And so I am enjoying this. And actually, one of the other things that Lynn put in hers that I really, really like, which is another technique that I don't use enough personally, is we call it perfing. So just putting some little dots around the edge. And it's one of those things that it just makes it look so neat. And I always forget, it's like, oh yeah, we can do that. How neat does that look when we do that? And you can do that, you can do it all the way around if you wanted to. It's one of those up to you. I kind of like it around the orb section. That's just kind of neat. So, all right. So as I finish, well, this one I'll say I will. Um, Gosh, I really like this. I'm so glad that I found it because it's like, oh, it was just such a neat take, and it's different enough that it really could be its own uh, tangle in its own right. But I like that inspired by and given having that be in the name too. I just think that that's really really cool. So as I finish this, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, would love to have a thumbs up on the video. Feel free to share it, and if you liked it enough to see more, would love to have you be a subscriber to the channel. Of course, subscribing to the channel is free, and I do post once a day. I haven't mentioned this in a while. If you've been watching the videos every day, I do post every day, and you might take a look at the notification section, because I know whenever I subscribe to a video, whether it's on YouTube or other platforms, I just don't like my phone blowing up or my email, getting constant emails, and I mention it every once in a while because I would hate to have anyone just say, "Oh gosh, there's that Heather again. Oh, I think I'll unsubscribe." Well, I'd rather, if you're enjoying it, I would love to have you be a subscriber and stay a subscriber. And of course, that's entirely up to you. But do know that you can set your notification settings so that way, if you don't like your phone and email blowing up, that's perfectly fine. You can have it set that way, and you just turn all of that off. That's what I usually do with the things that I subscribe to. So just that little teeny tip. In the description section also, I think I already mentioned the step outs. I will also I will put a link to Rixty so that way you have it. And below that are ways to connect with me. So if you enjoyed this and you, maybe you want to take some online classes. I do classes not every day. I do this Quickie Tangle every day because I have a daily challenge. Really, it's to myself, but I put it on our Facebook group for those that want to have a daily something new. And sometimes you can't tangle and talk at the same time, and this is why I usually do this part while I'm because while I'm not tangling, because then I'm forgetting things. Anyway, I was doing classes I do classes every week, not every day, and a lot of them are free, and then I do have some that are paid for, so that way it helps to keep me in pens, and also the ability to continue to put these out there, things like that. If you check out my webpage, click on the classes/sessions link where you can find all of those, and I'd love to have you join me for come check out a free session, then see if you like it enough to maybe take a paid class, and you will see those. I do once a month. I've been adding in a second one a month as far as a paid one goes, because I do have a membership club that where you kind of get a little bit of a deal if you're a Tangle addict like me and a lot of others, and that you want to take classes, that's something that might be a good deal for you. So anyway, oh, you know what? I didn't add any shading in. So if you've hung out this far, here's some shading ideas. And if you've hung out this far, I want you to know that I appreciate that. All right, here's one way. Well, yeah, one way / 2 ways. So I'm putting some graphite. We'll see how well this does. Some of these are a little bit too thin to put it on every side. Sometimes you could just get away with just putting it on one side. But let's see. Let me get this in the right position here. And I'm just going to squish this. That's a new technical term. Squishing the graphite out just a little bit. Now it's kind of made it all gray a bit. All right, let's try just this one side. Oh, and we'll be consistent with that one side. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. Oh, but here's what I can do. Let's see, I'm doing that side. Let's just make this one just darker. That might help. Okay. Yeah, that kind of still gives it the roundness. There's always a way if you're not happy with something. That's why I usually start off, say, just doing one side. All right. So what this does is it makes these look like tubes. I mean, you don't have to do, the graphite if you don't want to, but it does bring them to life a bit. So if they're a bit thicker, or if you have a thinner tortillon, you could do it on both sides and make it even more round. You could also, and I'm just going to use what's left on here, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker going in right where that meets. So it kind of gives it a little bit of a 3D look. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I kind of okay, so some of me likes not touching these round places. That is kind of neat. But if you wanted to, and depending again on the size, let's just try it with this one down here. So I'm using what's left on my tortillon. So I'm just putting a little bit around the inside, going a little bit on the outside, being careful so that way I have natural tile color in the middle, and that kind of makes it bend a little bit. So I'm kind of torn. For whatever reason, this looks. It still has a bit of a 3D look because I have this going in. Could even just do a little bit where it's coming out as well. Let's do that. It just separates it, so it gives it a neat impression. I kind of like that. Neat, neat, neat. I love this tangle. And actually, I think I might even, let's see, I'd have to cover up that little dot there. Although graphite would do it, and maybe do another one. I don't know. But it's just fun, so you can have it, travel however you wish it to travel. Do take a look at the For More Inspiration link. That is to Lynn's Instagram account, where she has her step out as well as some samples on there. Just gives you some other ideas on what you might want to do with this one. So just gorgeous. Thanks, Lynn, if you end up ever watching this. Thanks so much for creating this. It's so fun. All right, with that, thanks again for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.